you struggling with kanji no matter how much you practice? You are definitely not alone, and honestly, it's probably not even your fault. Kanji can honestly feel like it's impossible to learn. Like no matter how many times you write a character, it just won't stick. If you've been frustrated, confused, or even tempted to give up, trust me, I completely get it. But what if I told you that a lot of learners struggle with kanji, not because they're bad at memorizing, but because they're using the wrong approach? Today, I'll be going over the most common mistakes that people make when learning kanji, and more importantly, how to avoid them so you can start making real progress. Hi, if you don't know me, my name is Emmy. I was born and raised in Tokyo, Japan, and on this channel, I try to bring the authentic side of Japan from a unique native perspective. Now, most people learning Japanese actually use the same learning method that is used to teach Japanese children. The problem? Japanese kids already speak the language fluently, so their kanji learning is completely different than what a non-native speaker actually needs. Instead of memorizing thousands of characters in an overwhelmingly way, I'll show you smarter, more efficient strategies that actually work for people learning Japanese as a second language. Mistake number 1, skipping hiragana and katakana. Now, if you're eager to start learning kanji, you might be tempted to jump straight in. But skipping hiragana and katakana is actually one of the biggest mistakes a beginner can make, because without them, kanji will just feel like an impossible puzzle. Now think of hiragana and katakana as the foundation of Japanese writing. Kanji may carry meaning, but kana is essentially what helps you read and pronounce them. Now hiragana is used for grammatical elements like particles and verb endings, helping to structure sentences, whereas katakana is often used for transcription from foreign words or loanwords or words for emphasis. Together, these two phonetic alphabets, hiragana and katakana, act as a glue that holds the entire Japanese writing system together. Even more importantly, many kanji actually contain phonetic components that hint at the pronunciation. For example, in the kanji keikaku, which means plan, the part ke helps indicate the reading. And if you don't know kana, you'll miss out on these helpful clues. Now, many beginners dive into kanji learning a little too soon, only to get frustrated because they can't fully understand learning materials. Here's why. Number 1, most learning resources already assume that you know kana. And if you don't, even basic explanations will be hard to follow. Kana helps with kanji readings. Now, kanji readings are almost always written in kana, so you'll struggle to pronounce words without it. Number 3, you'll have trouble recognizing phonetic components. Like I mentioned earlier, knowing kana helps you spot patterns in kanji readings. Without a strong kana foundation, kanji will feel very overwhelming and disconnected. So what should you do instead? Spend time mastering hiragana and katakana first, as they are essential for reading and pronunciation for kanji. Recognizing phonetic components like the ke in ke becomes a lot easier when you have a solid foundation in kana. Here is how that helps. First of all, recognizing phonetic components will be a lot easier. You'll quickly identify familiar sounds with kanji-based words. You'll also just be able to read and learn materials more effectively, no more struggling with basic explanations or furigana. And of course, your pronunciation will improve. Kana teaches you how Japanese sounds work so that you will be able to speak more naturally. Now think of it this way. If kanji is a house, hiragana and katakana are the building bricks that hold it together. Build a solid foundation first, and everything else will be a lot easier. Now, mistake number 2 is ignoring kanji radicals. Have you ever looked at a kanji and thought, how am I supposed to memorize this? If kanji feels like you're learning a bunch of random strokes, it's probably because you're skipping one crucial step, which is to learn radicals. Now, kanji may feel very complex, but they're actually made up of smaller components called radicals. Now, what are radicals? Think of radicals as the alphabets of kanji. Once you learn them, learning kanji becomes a lot more manageable. Now, like I mentioned, radicals are the building blocks of kanji. Now, many kanji actually share the same radicals, so recognizing them will help you see patterns. And knowing radicals makes looking up kanji in a dictionary a lot easier and faster as well. For example, this radical right here appears in words that are related to water, like umi, which is sea, and ike, which is pond. Once you recognize this pattern, new kanji will make a lot more sense. Now, many learners may think that radicals are just for dictionary searches, but ignoring them makes kanji way more difficult. Here's why. Now, first of all, kanji will just seem random and super overwhelming. Instead of memorizing familiar patterns, you'll have to memorize each character from scratch. Second reason, you'll struggle to remember stroke order. Now, radicals provide structure, so without them, kanji can feel like an overwhelming mess. Another reason is you'll also miss out on helpful memory shortcuts. Many radicals have meanings that help you create mnemonics, making kanji easier to remember. If you don't understand radicals, kanji will literally feel like an uphill battle. trust me. So what is the best approach? Instead of treating kanji as a standalone symbol, break them down into radicals. Here's how it works. First of all, radicals act like puzzle pieces. Once you learn them, you can piece together kanji more easily. Second, you'll recognize kanji a lot faster. Now, many kanji share the same radicals, so your brain will start automatically spotting these patterns. Now, memory tricks also become easier. You can use radicals to create mnemonics that will make it a lot more fun instead of learning kanji stroke by stroke. For example, let's take the kanji aruku, walk. It looks complicated at first, but when you break it down, you get stop, small, and a slide leg stroke. Picture a tiny person stopping and sliding their foot forward to take a step. This makes the meaning walk a lot easier to remember. Now you might be thinking, how many radicals should I learn? You don't have to memorize all the radicals. Just focus on the most common ones. Now learning around 200 to 250 radicals will give you a huge advantage in recognizing thousands of kanji. By mastering radicals first, kanji will no longer feel like a mystery. Instead of struggling to memorize every single stroke, you'll start to recognize patterns everywhere. So if you're watching this, please don't skip this step. It'll make kanji learning a lot easier and definitely a lot more fun. Mistake number 3 is treating onyomi and kunyomi as separate concepts. When learning kanji, many beginners get stuck on trying to memorize onyomi, which is the Chinese reading, and kunyomi, which is the Japanese reading, as 2 separate concepts. They see a list of readings in their textbook or flashcard app and try to forcefully memorize each one. But here's the problem. Kanji aren't used in isolation. They exist in words, and those words determine what reading is being used. Now, if you memorize these readings, you might be able to recognize a kanji on its own, but struggle to even read a sentence that contains it. Now, why this approach does not work. Now let's take this kanji as an example. If you try to learn it just by memorizing its readings, you might end up with something like this. Onyomi, se, sho, kunyomi, ikiru, umareru, haeru. That is literally 5 different readings just for one kanji. Trying to memorize them separately is just overwhelming and very inefficient. But if you learn them through real vocabulary, it actually becomes a lot easier and faster. For example, seikatsu, daily life, se for onyomi reading, umareru, to be born, umareru for the kunyomi reading, gakusei, students, another common onyomi reading for se. Instead of memorizing 5 separate readings, you only really need to learn 3 words, each reinforcing a different reading in a meaningful way. Now, rather than trying to cram every kunyomi and onyomi reading into your brain at once, here's what you should try instead. Focus on common vocabulary first. Learn words that actually use the kanji that you are trying to learn, instead of learning a bunch of abstract readings. Next, I'd say is recognize patterns. Now, many onyomi readings are often used in compound words, whereas kunyomi readings are often seen in standalone words or verbs. Now lastly, memorize understanding over memorization. Now if a kanji has an overwhelming number of readings, don't stress yourself over learning them all at once. Just learn the most useful ones. For example, instead of stressing over every single reading for this kanji, which can signify go, act, and travel, just focus on these ones. Just start with ginko, bank, iku, to go. You'll naturally pick up on other readings as you encounter more words. And this is exactly why I have been using MochiKanji as an effective tool for learning kanji. Instead of overwhelming you with a bunch of readings for onyomi and kunyomi readings, MochiKanji has been super helpful in me learning kanji in a way that actually sticks. Now, one of the biggest advantages of MochiKanji is that it teaches kanji through real words and example sentences. Instead of memorizing kanji in isolation, you see kanji as they appear in everyday language. This makes it a lot easier to recall a right reading when encountering the kanji in real life. Now, each Japanese word, including kanji or not, is presented in the form of flashcards, which include images, sample sentences, and audio. And MochiKanji also provides little cute quizzes to help you memorize them more easily. Now, what I love about MochiKanji is that it is suitable for various learners. And no matter what level you're at, you're bound to find something just for you. Now, MochiKanji caters to a wide range of levels and needs. For those that are preparing for the JLPT, there are courses from N5 to N2. There are also courses for specialized areas such as nursing and IT. And if you are studying with the Minna no Nihongo and Genki Learning, there are courses that will support your learning. Not to mention, each course includes many lessons, making it easier for you to follow along the learning process. Now, MochiKanji uses a spaced repetition system, which means that you memorize kanji at the optimal time just when you're about to forget them, called golden time. time. This ensures that instead of just cramming everything all at once and eventually forgetting them later, you gradually strengthen your memory over time. Therefore, you can learn and memorize 1,000 kanji and words in just a single month. With a special feature called the digital notebook, words that you learn get organized into 5 different levels of memorization, with 1 being newly learned words and 5 being in your long-term memory, making it easy to understand your progress and level so far. MochiKanji's stroke order writing feature also helps you reinforce your knowledge by actively engaging with the characters through mnemonics and stroke order. This helps you memorize the kanji more deeply compared to just passive recognition. Moreover, it shows you how kanji is used in everyday life through related vocabulary. For example, with the word tsuki, which can mean month and moon, you can learn additional words like gappi, date, getsumatsu, end of the month, and even more. After completing a kanji writing exercise, you can save this word for your golden time to boost your long-term retention. MochiKanji also has a handy dictionary feature which helps you look up vocabulary, which you can also easily add to your digital notebook for further review. It's definitely convenient for when you're reading a Japanese passage that contains new words. Now, what I love about MochiKanji is that it is perfect for non-native speakers. Now, unlike traditional kanji learning methods that mimic how Japanese children learn, MochiKanji prioritizes methods that actually work for foreign learners. You won't waste time on ineffective school-style memorization. Instead, you'll learn in a way that's optimized for faster progress. Now, a key takeaway from this is that kanji readings aren't meant to be learned in isolation. Instead, learn them through vocabulary, recognize patterns, and use tools like MochiKanji to reinforce them in a structured, efficient way. If you want to stop struggling with kanji readings and start learning the right way, definitely check out MochiKanji. I'll leave all the download links down below. It's available on their website, Apple Store, as well as Google Play. Mistake number 4, not practicing kanji in context. A common mistake when learning kanji is learning them in isolation, just drilling characters into your head without properly understanding how they're used. The problem with this is that when you see a kanji in a real sentence, your brain struggles to recall it because it's never been trained to actually recognize it in real context. Think about it this way. If you learn a new word in your native language but never seen it in a real sentence, it's gonna be hard to remember how to use it naturally. And the same goes for kanji. So how do you fix this? Instead of just memorizing individual kanji, start engaging with them in real-world usage. You can read sentences and short passages that just naturally include the kanji that you're learning. This can help reinforce their meaning and pronunciation. Another tip is actually practice writing the kanji in context yourself. So try journaling or composing simple phrases instead of just repeatedly writing the same character over and over. Another thing I'd say is expose yourself to native materials like manga, articles, and signs, or whatever, whenever you're out and about. Seeing kanji in different settings definitely helps with making them stick in your long-term memory. By practicing kanji in context, you'll not only remember them better, but also learn how they're used in everyday Japanese. Now, if you've been struggling learning kanji, please don't be discouraged. The problem isn't you. It's just that traditional learning methods weren't designed for non-native speakers. But by changing your approach and using the right tools, learning kanji can be a lot more manageable and even fun. And speaking of the right tools, a huge shout out to MochiKanji for sponsoring today's video. I have been loving using MochiKanji. Honestly, it's the best app that I've ever encountered. I'm so happy that it's been helping me learn new words in different contexts as well. MochiKanji makes kanji learning a lot easier with its intuitive system that helps reinforce readings and meanings through spaced repetition and a whole lot of other features. If you're looking for a structured, efficient, and even fun way to learn kanji, definitely check MochiKanji out. Again, I've left all the download links down below. Again, I'd love to hear from you guys, of course. What has been your biggest challenge in learning kanji? And if you found this video helpful, I have other videos as well on Japanese learning, so you can definitely check those out as well. And if you watched this far, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!